Welcome to InterPartyConflict, the podcast where we answer your questions so you can have the best tabletop gaming experience possible. My name is Gabe.
And my name is Jeff.
And we're going to answer your questions today. But first, I have a question. Jeff.
Yeah.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing all right.
Cool.
Had some delicious dinner that Skylar made me. So
cool. Yeah, I'm probably going to make dinner once we're done here.
Yeah.
One thing I want to mention is that as of today, as of this recording, Crit Academy just hit 100% on their Kickstarter.
Ooh,
so
cool. Congrats.
that's really exciting. The Memorable Monsters Kickstarter. They've got, I think, like 10 days left at the moment.
Yeah.
And, they've got some cool stretch goals. So hopefully they're able to meet some of them, if not all of them.
Mm-hmm.
But really, really proud of them. I think it's going to be a really cool product.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I'm glad they met the goal because I saw it was pretty dang close not too long ago. So I was like they still got a decent amount of time left to go, and I think they were like only like 1,000 away last time I checked.
Yeah.
And so they made that up pretty quick then.
So yeah, good job to them. Thank you to everybody who contributed. I think that's really cool. And yeah, I don't really have much else going on. You want to go ahead and just get right into this episode?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. I want you to imagine, Jeff, that you're driving through the countryside. You're going to maybe visit some family or something like that live way out in the boonies, and you're trying to follow them. You got this map. It's really confusing. You think you made a wrong turn at Albuquerque or something.
Uh-huh.
You go and you make this one turn. You couldn't quite tell what the street's name was. So like you stopped and you backed up and you look over and it's some really weird thing. It's spelled like the road is called like Drow Snowguard Et. It is called.
Uh-huh.
And that's really weird. Okay, whatever. You don't see that on the map anywhere, but maybe it'll lead to a major road. There'll be like a 7-Eleven you can stop at and ask for directions. So you continue driving, and then...
Did we take a wrong turn at Nilbog?
You took a wrong turn at Nilbog, exactly. And then you get turned around again, and sure enough, there you are at Drow Snowguard Et Street.
Uh-huh.
And... gosh, what the heck is this? You throw your hands up in frustration, and then you go and you hit your rear view mirror by mistake. And then you go and you adjust your rear view mirror so it's back where it is. And then you realize, you look in the mirror and the name makes sense now, and you realize where you currently are. You know where that is, Jeff?
Where is it, Gabe?
You're on the Dragon's Hoard Street. Because your relatives or whatever live just off of the Dragon's Hoard Street.
Right, yeah.
So yeah. So today's magic item was submitted by Nathan H. via email, and
Gabe, the treasure is family.
The treasure was the family you ate along the way. So Nathan H., he submitted this, and I want to mention that this is actually part of an upcoming Halloween horror supplement that he's been making.
Okay.
So if and when that becomes available to the public, I will be sure to include a link in the show notes.
Yeah.
Because, everything I saw on there is pretty cool. So the item that we're covering today is the Mirror of Desire. And I don't know if this was intentional, but in the supplement, the M is capitalized and then the E at the very end is capitalized. I don't know if that's on purpose, if that's significant, or if that's just a typo. I don't know.
Sure, but it's kind of like a mirror effect where do mirror and desire have the same number of letters?
Yes.
Yeah, so I feel like it's got it has a little bit of like a reflective theme to it.
Yeah, it's a real weird typo if it is a typo.
Yeah, it's not a palindrome. Is that what they're called?
It's not a palindrome.
But I can see the inspiration there. I like it.
Party booby trap is a palindrome.
Right.
Also, a man, a plan, a canal, Panama. Anyway, today's magic item is the Mirror of Desire. It is a legendary, cursed, wondrous item.
Ooh.
When a creature looks into the Mirror of Desire, they see their own idealized version of themselves surrounded by the people or objects that mean the most to them, without a care in the world. The creature must make a DC 19 charisma saving throw or become charmed by the mirror. The creature can repeat the saving throw at the end of each hour, ending the effects on a success. While charmed in this way, the creature does not eat, drink, or sleep, and neglects its bodily functions. If a creature does not receive the food, water, or rest that it needs, it gains exhaustion normally and eventually will die. So there you go.
Gabe.
And that's it.
Gabe.
Yeah.
Gabe, I was today years old when I realized the mirror of Erised from Harry Potter. Erised is desire backwards.
Yes. Yes, it is. In fact, if you
that is why the E is capitalized. Gabe.
Okay.
Mark your calendars. Jeff was today years old.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like, you know, you don't see the word Erised, like it might be like carved on the frame of the mirror in the movie or something. But
I think it is in the book. Also, there's like there's a sentence scrawled under it that is something else if it's in reverse.
Yeah, and I mean, like I didn't read the first book. I listened to it on audiobook.
Yeah.
So like again, I'm hearing the word, not seeing it. So again, I just realized.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
That it is the mirror of desire. I was like, oh, this is kind of like this is very inspired by the mirror of Erised. That's cool. And I was like. And so, like, I was like, isn't that what it's called? Yeah. And I just Googled it, and then I was like, huh. Yep. That's interesting.
Yeah. You learn something new every day, I guess.
Yeah.
Whenever I see in a fantasy setting or whatever, whenever I see a weird word that I've never seen before, I look at what it is backwards, and I just assume that that's, like, you know, I always assume that it is some other word just backwards.
Yeah. Yeah, it's sometimes like the few times I would make up a name for a character, it would usually be like a scrambling of some words or something like that, like or like put something into I'll put something into like Google Translate and then like change a couple letters here and there or something like that.
Yeah, no, that's a thing. That's a thing people do. So yeah, this is it's a cursed item. You look in it, you get charmed, and then you sit there until you die.
Well, good. Serves you right for being so vain.
So I almost feel like this sort of thing would be a good thing to ask your players about when they are making characters. If you want your characters to be like, you know, fully realized people and such, ask your characters. Okay, or ask the players, all right, your character is sitting in front of a mirror that shows them their greatest desire to the point where they would just sit there and stare in the mirror instead of going off adventuring. Yeah. What do they see? Because in Harry Potter, the main protagonist, Harry Potter, is like, oh, he's in the book at least, he's with his entire family. All of his family, which he has no connection to because they are all dead. He sees all of his family, and he's just with his family. And that is what he wants at that point in time. That's what he wants more than anything else. Ron Weasley, when he looks in it, he sees like, oh, all my family, they're finally giving me the attention that they don't give me because there's so many of us. They're finally paying attention to me and not everybody else.
Yeah, he has too much family, whereas Harry has none.
Exactly. But then in the book, Harry asks Dumbledore, oh, what do you see? Which in the book, it sort of mentions like, oh, and this, Harry realized this was a very personal question to ask or something like that.
Right. Yeah. It's like after asking, because it's just sort of like a, you know, generic, like childlike wonder of like, you know, curiosity. It's like, oh, what do you see? But then he's like, oh, I guess that is a really personal question, isn't it?
Dumbledore's like socks.
Yeah, he sees like he has a pair of nice woolen socks or something.
Which maybe there's some significance to that. Maybe he was just saying something so this kid will get off his back. Who knows?
Right. Yeah. And I mean, like, maybe, you know, part of what he sees is the socks.
Sure. I've heard people say, anyway, this isn't the Harry Potter cast, but I have heard people say that is intentional, that there is a character reason for that. I think he was just telling Harry something because that's a rude question. He didn't want to call him out on being rude.
Right.
So,
he wasn't going to say, kid, you're being rude. He understand.
Right.
He understood that he was just curious. He wasn't
Right.
trying to pry.
Imagine if he was like, kid, mind your own dang business. I'm Dumbledore. So this item,
Harry, go yourself.
good job. So yeah, this item, there isn't really very much to it, but I think that this is such a cool, it's such a cool hazard to put into a dungeon or something.
Gabe, I'm sorry to backtrack again, but because I still have the Google search of Mirror of Erised up, and one of the suggested videos I watch is the thumbnail is Dumbledore in the mirror holding some socks. And there's some text next to it that says, "Why did he see socks?" You know,
okay,
it's
there you
very
go.
Very clickbait thumbnail there, but it was just photoshopped some socks on over Dumbledore. So okay, I'm sorry. Keep going.
No problem. So I think this is a really neat hazard to put into a dungeon. You know, it can be a character moment. Yes, there are mechanics, and you can be like, okay, you made your save, or you failed your save, or whatever. But, you know, use that as an opportunity. If you haven't taken the time to think about what your character would see in such a mirror, if you encounter this, that's the opportunity to think about, what does my character want so much that they would just sit there and stare in the mirror all day?
Right. Yeah. They would completely ignore everything else just to get a glimpse at this one thing.
Yeah. This makes me think of, what sort of person would have this in their house? You know, you're presumably finding this in a dungeon somewhere, which is probably some creature's living space. Someone chose to put the mirror there. Mm-hmm. Is it just there? Is this a Tomb of Horrors situation, and it is just there as a trap for anyone who might happen upon your home? Or are you a person who is already so vain that you see this anytime you look into a mirror anyway, so this doesn't do anything to you?
I could see it like, it could be like a big bad evil guy who just has a really good charisma save.
Okay.
So like, he's not going to get stuck in front of it, but he uses it to like help realize his plan.
Okay.
So like, the thing he wants most is to, you know, realize for his like evil plans to come to fruition or something.
Yeah.
So being able to see that happening, he can better plan for it.
Oh, okay. He doesn't know what the next step is, so he looks in the mirror and he's like, "Oh, that's what it is."
Right. Yeah. He's like, you know, it's almost like I was gonna say Johnny Depp, Captain Jack's like compass or whatever, and it like points you in the direction you like of the thing you want most.
Yeah.
And you know, it's obviously that's very cryptic, and it's like, well, what do I really want most? If you don't know what it is, it's just pointing you in the direction of something you want, but you might not know what you want most, you know.
Sure.
But so in this way, like, he can see the plan has come to fruition in the mirror, but he has to kind of try to figure out, like, okay, but how did I get it? You know, like.
Sure.
He tries to like look for clues in what he sees as to like how he achieved it. In the vision.
Yeah. So I think that this item, like I said, there isn't much mechanics wise, but it's definitely got some interesting story implications, a lot of potential for role playing and that sort of stuff.
Gabe, is it illusion or is it divination?
Ooh, shoot. I don't know. There could be two different versions of these. One shows you, one is divination, one is illusion.
Yeah. Or it could be like that it's both at the same time, and that's part of the weirdness of the item is like it's both illusion and divination. So like these are things that could happen or could just be wishful thinking.
Or maybe it's enchantment. And you don't care about whatever it's showing, but it makes you think you do.
Right. Oh yeah, sure. Because it is a charm effect, so it would be. It would also be. I guess items can have.
I guess I do want socks.
I mean, items can have multiple auras. Is that a thing? I don't know if that's a thing.
Sure.
I'd imagine. At least artifacts probably do. You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, like but I think that would be neat though, is like you read it and it's like this is enchantment, illusion, and divination. Like it's like, okay, well that's neat, but like that doesn't really like that doesn't tell you exactly what it is, you know? Like that doesn't say like, is this the future or is this just an illusion?
Sure. So yeah, there isn't really much else to that. So that was that'll do it for today. That was the Mirror of Desire, capital E, from Nathan H via email.
Or the Erised Faux Rorim.
Rorim. Yep, there you go. That's it. It's the Erised Faux Rorim from Natan, H Natan via lame.
That is what email is backwards.
Yes. So thank you very much, Nathan, for submitting that. Jeff, if anybody else wanted to submit magic items for the Dragon's Horde, or questions for us to discuss, or stories for the Funeral Pyre or Retirement Village, how would they get those to us?
They could send us an email at interpartyconflict@gmail.com or join us on our Interparty Discord at bit.ly/interpartydiscord.
That is correct. And before we go any further, we have a giveaway to give away today.
Ooh.
We are giving away a copy of Unearthed Tips and Tricks Volume 1, courtesy of Crit Academy. It is a D&D 5th edition supplement with a collection of player tips, DM tips, character concepts, encounter concepts, monster variants, and magic items. 25 of each of those from the Crit Academy podcast. It's full of great stuff, and I helped them write it, so I've got the inside scoop, so to speak.
Yeah.
So it's a great supplement. Who is our winner of this supplement today?
Today's winner is Andrew H.
Winner. Gobble, gobble, gobble. Yes. Congratulations, Andrew H. You should be getting that in your email pretty soon. And be sure to leave Crit Academy a review. You know, if they get more reviews, they can they get more attention. They also can see what they did right, what they did wrong, and they can make better products in the future. So big thank you to Crit Academy for giving us that giveaway. Thank you to Andrew H. for entering. Mm-hmm. And if anybody else wanted to enter this drawing, Jeff, if they wanted to be like Andrew H. and win a copy of this free supplement, how would they do so?
They could send us an email at interpartyconflict@gmail.com with the subject Unearthed Tips and Tricks in the subject line.
Yes. And on that matter, on that topic, we're actually only going to be giving this away for another week or so. I can't remember. I'm having trouble doing the math whether it's one more week or 2 more weeks, because we're going to be starting a new giveaway. And the thing we're going to be giving away is Unearthed Tips and Tricks Volume 2.
Ooh.
So this supplement that just came out a few months ago, if you want a copy of it, maybe you already got the Volume 1, maybe you haven't gotten Volume 1, but you want Volume 2, we're going to be giving away free copies of Unearthed Tips and Tricks Volume 2.
Nice.
Starting in just a couple weeks. So because we record this a week ahead of time, send us an email at interpartyconflict@gmail.com with Unearthed Tips and Tricks 2 in the subject line. Has to have a 2. If you send it without a 2, I'm going to assume you tried to enter the one that we've already ended by this point.
Right.
So send it with a 2. Even if it's just put a 2 and then some combination of letters that looks like UTT or something.
Sure.
Send that to us and we will enter you into the drawing for Unearthed Tips and Tricks Volume 2. So cool. Huge thank you to Justin. This was Justin's idea. He actually emailed me like a month and a half ago and was like, hey, I want you guys to start giving away Volume 2. And I was like, cool. Well, we're in the middle of a different giveaway. Let's wait till that's over first. So yeah, thank you to Justin. Thank you to everybody who's entered, and go ahead and enter into this other one. And then next up, I want to thank all of our wonderful patrons for helping make the show happen. Patreon is an online platform where you can pledge to donate a certain amount of money per month to the creator of your choice. Some Patreons are actually even rolling out yearly pledges. Like if you get a discount if you pledge for the whole year. I'm not sure how that works. If I get the option, I might make that an option for everybody. So I guess keep an eye out. But anyway, for the time being, if you were to donate to our Patreon at patreon.com/interpartyconflict, we've got a variety of award tiers. We've got outtakes. We've got fantasy fiction that I wrote. I'm in the process of getting those into audio. The current one is running very late, so I apologize. We've also got a monthly bonus podcast. We actually just recorded August's bonus episode, so we'll probably be doing another bonus episode in the coming weeks. We've also got a monthly Roll20 game. The day that we record this, the end of our current campaign arc is going to be tomorrow. So we're going to be doing something different starting next month. But this one I'm really excited for. I think it's going to be a lot of fun tomorrow.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you want to help out the show and get some cool stuff in return, go to patreon.com/InterPartyConflict. Check out the rewards, see if anything appeals to you, and, help us keep the lights on and get some cool stuff. And then just one more thing, check out the other podcasts on the Crit Nation Fellowship. Check out Crit Academy, critacademy.com. The hosts on there, they come out with new and reusable content for players and DMs alike every episode. They've got lots and lots of great stuff on there. Also check out Brute Force and Ignorance. They're an actual play podcast that is currently on hiatus, I think, but it's coming back soon. And then D&D Character Lab is finished, but they've still got tons of episodes out there that you can listen to with some great character concepts. So check all those out. Enough of all this. Let's get into some questions, Jeff.
All right. Our first question comes from Mark Popsicles on email. And they ask, how has COVID-19 affected your gaming habits? And when things are back to normal being in quotation marks, what will your future gaming be like? Yeah.
This is a good question.
I mean, yeah, this is a big question. It's a good question. I'm sure a lot of people have thought about this exact thing.
Right. I haven't really. So I wasn't really in any sort of a physical game before COVID-19 happened.
Mm-hmm.
I would do, I had games at the library every month, and those have been suspended, which is understandable. Beyond that, it hasn't really affected like my day-to-day gaming. I mean, it affected our podcast because we're currently remote.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess it's brought more people into the hobby, I'm guessing, because more people are playing the game remotely because it's easier to find a group online than it is to find a group in person.
Yeah, it's true.
So personally, I don't really think I was super duper affected, but I guarantee it's going to be affected once things go back to quote unquote normal.
Yeah. I mean, technically I'm playing more now.
Yeah.
than I was before. Like I played in some in a few adventures here and there with some friends like a year or two ago. But I mean, like between the Roll20 thing that you do and then I've picked up Foundry virtual tabletop, and we've been trying out the new Pathfinder.
Yeah.
Just kind of getting more used to playing remotely. It's been more of an excuse or more of a motivation to get into remote play, using stuff like virtual tabletops and everything.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like because of it, I'll be more likely to be playing than before, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm wondering if, because I didn't really play many Roll20 games before. I just did our Patreon one.
Yeah.
I do wonder if I will be doing more of that as we go. Like you said, we're playing our Pathfinder game on Foundry, and I would love for that to continue going. Even let's say a miracle happens and things go back to quote unquote normal next month. I would still like to continue playing that game,
And then we got, our friend Jay lives in California, and it's really nice to be able to play with him, even if things just magically went back to normal, I still want to use the Foundry to keep us playing.
Yeah. So I haven't really been super duper affected, but I imagine a lot of people have. I think I'm correct in saying that I think more people have gotten into the hobby because of this. I could be wrong, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, depends on what people look for when they if they're playing to just hang out with friends.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it probably affected them at first, but again, everybody's sort of adjusted to a more remote life as far as using video conference calls and things like that. I think people are getting more proficient in those sort of things so that they can actually the group that, got together every other week, maybe weren't playing for a while at first, but now that seems like now, once they realize, okay, this is definitely going to be a long-term thing, let's figure something out.
Sure. I wonder if this will make me appreciate in-person games more.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, not that I didn't appreciate them to begin with, but
Yeah.
I feel like this will make online games, not even just online games, but online anything will be a bit more familiar to everybody.
Yeah.
Because everybody's, at least tangentially familiar with Zoom nowadays.
Yeah.
Zoom, teleconferencing, that sort of stuff. So
Right. Obviously, it's hard to say what the future will hold.
Yeah.
But like you said, like it hasn't really super affected that part of our lives, really.
Mm-hmm.
Just because like we weren't really playing a whole lot to begin with.
Hopefully it'll result in more people making content. People who haven't been at work and have been playing D&D instead.
Yeah.
I imagine there are people like that, and hopefully they are using some of their time to make D&D content that they can then release on DM's Guild and such.
Yeah. I mean, even I threw together a few maps and stuff for our Pathfinder thing.
Oh, your maps are incredible, Jeff.
Oh, thank you. I mean, it's using assets on a map maker, so like it's very like stamp tool, just kind of throw stuff together. But I mean, like I still like the way most of them turned out.
Yeah.
So yeah, like like I've always had like some ideas for some things, and like my the execution of them isn't always perfect, but I think having a little bit more time to like put those ideas onto paper like
sure.
is sort of helpful in a way.
Yeah.
So like the extra time, I could see being beneficial to some people who like creating content and stuff. Obviously it's not none of this is ideal for everybody, but there are some silver linings,
One thing I will say is that I haven't had a ton of time to devote to it, but I am a lot more excited and proficient with printing and painting miniatures.
Oh, yeah.
I've only painted a few miniatures, and I've been meaning to for several weeks to do more of it, but I haven't been able to. But I at least know if I see a 3D file of a miniature, I could print it and I could paint it.
Yeah.
If I wanted to. If I wanted to and had time.
Right. Yeah. And even with the time and even with the want, that is not always going to make it happen.
Sure.
Sure. I'm pretty sure most people who play games like D&D and stuff like that, we're not unfamiliar with procrastination. I don't know if that's true for everybody, but I feel like there is that connection. I mean, everybody's got a little bit of procrastination in them, but like, I don't know, like get the job done right the first time, type A personality kind of people. Like, I don't see them being super big into D&D.
Yeah.
But again, those are probably just like, I'm just going off of like old stereotypes or something.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, who knows? Yeah, I don't really have much else. I just, it hasn't affected me as much as it's affected other people, but hopefully it affects the hobby, the whole community in a positive way.
Yeah. When we come on the other side of this thing, hopefully people will be better for it.
Yeah.
All right. Our next question comes from Adam B on Discord, and they ask, I am finishing one campaign and starting another. Several players have come to me and requested that I not invite back one player in particular. What should I do?
Yeah, this is a tough one. We talked a few episodes ago about when one player like doesn't fit or like does something that doesn't fit the tone of the campaign or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I talked about, you always want to try and you want to involve everybody. You want to accommodate everybody, even something that doesn't quite seem to fit. It is always important to remember though that like if one thing, in this case one player, is not a good fit for the group, if it isn't something that can just be reconciled, if multiple players are requesting that this player doesn't get invited back, then something has to be done. You may have to remove that person from the group. It's difficult. I am always one to avoid a confrontation whenever possible.
Yeah.
I'm not proud of it, but I would say in most cases when this has happened with me, I've just quietly not invited them back.
Sure.
I didn't make a big deal about it. I didn't address the problem. I just, oh, hey guys, we're not playing this week. And then I contact the other players and like, hey, let's play this week.
Yeah.
And that does suck. I shouldn't do that.
Right. Yeah. Like, yeah, that's definitely not the right thing to do, but I don't like fault you for it. I get it.
It's not the most mature thing to do or the most, it's not going to solve a problem.
Yeah.
But it is a solution.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's really difficult, and then especially because like it basically falls onto the DM. It's like you're not only have to like, you know, run this game and prepare the adventure and stuff like that. You also have to be like this social like mediator or whatever. Like you have to you have to be the one who makes those kind of calls.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I guess like if it's depending on the group, I guess like if everybody's just like, if it looks like it's more like majority rules, sort of like the 3 out of 4 people don't want this person to go to the next session or whatever, like they could probably take it upon themselves and be like, hey, we don't think you're a right fit for this. And like, maybe it doesn't have to be all on the DM.
I suppose. I just feel like you don't want to gang up on them. And if it's just one player, I feel like if someone is a problem player, they may not get the idea, oh, no, the whole group doesn't, they may think it is just this one player.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I do kind of feel like it does fall on the DM. It sucks. It sucks that it falls on the DM, but it probably should. And you really kind of gotta just rip the Band-Aid off at once. You just kind of have to say, hey, look, you're not a good fit for this group. I've had complaints from several of the other players, and we're going to play this next campaign without you.
Yeah.
Try not to make it like like it's all their fault. Don't try to be like, you made a mistake. You don't want to say like you suck or anything like that. Just stress like, it's you're just not a good fit for the group. If you can have examples, maybe have examples of specific things, but at the same time, you don't want to just like pile on.
Well, you don't want to pile on. See, this is just kind of like making me think of like, this is like letting somebody go at a job basically. Yeah. But I mean but it's not a job. It's an activity you're playing with, potentially friends. But I guess in this situation, this is more likely to happen when it's not a group of friends, but it's just like a group that got together just to play the game. I feel like you almost don't even want to give examples because then they'll want to try and fight back on those. They might be like, oh, well, that was actually this person's fault. It's like if you agree with the other players and it's like, yeah, you know what, it really would just be easier if this person was just not in a group. It might just be best to like you said, like just rip the Band-Aid off, just be like, sorry, you can't come. Like, yeah. Okay. And like there's no good way to do this. I don't think there's really a good way to handle this. Like nothing's going to be good. I mean, it could happen to work out okay. Like the person might like sort of agree in a way, not necessarily that they're the bad ones, but but they might agree like, okay, you're right. I guess I don't fit well with the group. Sure. Other people, like maybe the other people in the group could stand to change their ways too, but they might be like, all right, fine, I get it. And then they just leave and no real hard feelings. Yeah. Like that's best case scenario, but that's not something that you can that's not something you can easily work towards. It's just sort of, it all depends on the person's personality and the like specific reasons for splitting the group or whatever. Yeah.
If there's one thing I can say, if you are a player and the DM does come to you and say, hey, you're not a good fit for this group, we're going to go on without you. Good on the DM. Don't get mad at the DM. At least they told you. Yeah. Like maybe the reason why my first reaction is to always just not say anything and just go on without them is because that's been done to me several times. And that's not fun. So maybe I definitely shouldn't do it to other people. But if they do, they do like own up to it. They do sit you down and talk to you and say, this is a problem and we're going to go on without you. And it's not your fault. We're sorry, but it's for the best. Try not to get mad at them. That's easier said than done, I know, but
yeah. I mean, it's all depending on like everybody's personalities individually and stuff. It's tough.
So yeah, I don't think there is, like you said, Jeff, there isn't a good solution for this. It sucks. Yeah. You kind of just have to do it. You either have to do it or you can just ignore that, go on without them and hope that it doesn't become a problem.
Right. I mean, hopefully it never it never gets to this point, this is more of like, if there's basically nothing else can be done.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, look, we just can't keep playing with this person.
Yeah. Kicking somebody out of your group should be a last resort, an absolute last resort.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, I feel like it really, if you're doing it right, they should know it's coming.
Definitely.
They should sense it coming, because at this point you probably should have already talked to them. Like, hey, hey, this is an issue. Can we work around this? And then they might say yes or no or whatever, and and maybe something else comes up and be like, hey, so this is happening now. Can we work around this? And then maybe you do that 2 or 3 times with them. And then by then everybody's complaining about this one player. And so at that point it's like, okay, like it is again, like firing somebody from work. It's like, we're going to have to let you go. You like 3 strikes, you're out kind of a thing. So, I mean, hopefully this isn't like everybody's just been talking about this person behind their back the whole time.
Yeah. Cause it's better to just cut them out entirely than to complain about them behind their back. Yeah. You don't want to do that.
Right. Yeah. So I feel like, if there's starting to be a problem, bring it up, discuss it, individually, and then maybe eventually as a group, if everybody's sort of on the same page as to what's going on.
Yeah.
But I think the decision to remove somebody from the group, again, should be like last resort.
Yeah.
And at that point, they should kind of know it's coming. And if they don't, they could be just that bad of a person that they just do crappy things and don't realize they're doing crappy things and wonder why people are so rude to them.
Yeah.
Obviously I'm not talking about anybody specifically, but some people just don't. There are some people out there that just don't take the hint, kind of a thing.
Sure.
Or like, hey, this is sort of, ruffling everybody's feathers. Can we do something about it? And then they just kind of blow it off as to like, oh, it's just somebody else has a problem, not me. So, but I mean, again, it's just hopefully it doesn't, hopefully things don't get to that point.
Hopefully there have been many other solutions before this point, but
right. Yeah.
Sometimes it's going to happen.
Yeah. So I guess the thing to do is like, if you've done if you've done the work of like trying to like get things to like get everybody to work together to get everybody to fit in the group better. Like if you've done some work and it's just not working out, then you kind of do just kind of have to like let them go as clean as possible.
Sure.
Okay. Our next question comes from Debrasor on Discord. And they ask, how do you recommend making seasons and weather more important in a game beyond just difficult terrain and disadvantage on checks?
Yeah, so I just had a couple quick ideas for this one. And it's largely have that be represented by the characters that the PCs interact with.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean is, the very first thing that came to mind was in a lot of video games, when you're in a snowy area, you encounter snowy enemies. When you're in a hot area, you encounter hot enemies. You can have that be reflected in your game. Even if the characters are encountering the same, stat blocks, the wolves that they encounter can be, like snowy wolves or something like that. Or you could even, depending on how the campaign is progressing, have there be different monsters in the same areas because it is winter. Maybe like in the summer they went to this one dungeon and they fought some wolves and some goblins, but then they came back to that same area to go to a different dungeon in the winter. And now there are winter wolves and hobgoblins. They're bigger and more powerful monsters because they have to be stronger to, survive in the winter or whatever. Sure. And similarly, fall and spring could have different types of monsters as well. Instead of just describing the monsters different, you could actually use different monsters appropriate to that season. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So different, there are different things coming out during different seasons.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a lot of it's going to be, a lot of things you can do are mostly like flavor stuff. Something like, if you're going to have weather changes and seasonal changes, make sure you're describing that in like descriptions of the towns that you're in, or like the NPCs that you come across. Like in the wintertime, like describe the big furry coat that the NPC's wearing.
Sure.
Or describe that they're, sweating profusely because it's so hot out or something like that. Like make that part of the role playing and descriptions of things.
Yeah. Also, again, not even just the description, but like you need different gear to get by in the winter than you do in the summer. In the movie Frozen, it's summertime, I guess, and then this entire kingdom gets covered in ice. And so when one of the characters goes to like a store and is trying to get winter equipment, the guy doesn't have any because it's summer. It should be summer. And when the winter equipment that they do have is super marked up because it's summer. You don't need
right.
It's not the time where they're having sales on winter equipment.
Yeah.
So you could have it be that like maybe the players need certain climbing gear and such in order to get from one town to another, because there's hills which are normally not a problem in the summer, but they are in the winter.
Yeah.
And that doesn't have to just be winter and summer. It could also be, in spring, maybe it rains a lot more. And so you need, you have to deal with rainy conditions. You have to deal with keeping your stuff dry.
Sure. Yeah. You gotta carry dry firewood for camp.
In the fall, there's skeletons and pumpkin monsters everywhere. I don't know.
Pumpkin spice.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It is largely going to be description, but I don't know. It's probably not going to be anything very exciting. The change of the seasons isn't really very exciting. A lot of the time it is going to be disadvantage on some checks and difficult terrain and such, but the descriptions can really go a long way. And also you can try to alter your quests a little bit to be more thematic to the season. If it is the harvest, if it's fall, have one of the goals for your quest or whatever to be to retrieve this thing before harvest, or to deliver these, this grain or whatever to whatever. Try to tie the quests and such into the seasons more instead of just being a generic quest.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't really have much more. Just like use different monsters when it's a different season. I'm sure a lot of video games have done that, and tends to work when they do that, as far as I remember.
Yeah. Or you might like subvert that a little bit too, where it's like there are fire monsters in the wintertime or something.
Ooh, okay.
Like, and then like you're dealing with melting ice and snow, and I don't know. Like there could be like you said, like with the frozen deal, where it's like it's winter when it's supposed to be summer. You could do something along those lines where it's like it's supposed to be winter, but all the snow is melting off of the mountain and flooding the town.
Sure.
And then it's like freezing, so like it's everybody's basically like all the town is all frozen under a lake at or something, and you have to like climb the mountain and find out there's like a fire dragon up there or something melting.
Yeah, there you go. All right. I think that'll do it for our regular questions for today, but we do still have our social media questions. Our last social media question was, if a monster was created in your image, what would it be and what abilities would it have? Do you recall what your answer was, Jeff?
I don't think I remember exactly. I don't know. It was like a Warforged.
You said like a turtle or something.
Warforged turtle.
A Warfortle.
I'm a war turtle. It's a war turtle. It is literally a war turtle.
Yeah.
Oh goodness.
I think I said so. I gave kind of a jokey answer, but I mean there was some. It was a serious answer too. I said that my monster would be some sort of like a in the 4th edition terms, a leader type character where I would have minions and I would give bonuses to those minions and such, because I think of myself as I run D&D games a lot. I have a podcast telling people how to get the most out of their game. I like to create things. I like to build things.
So you heard it here, folks. Gabe thinks of you as his minions.
I mean, I guess. And then I said that I would bathe my arms in the blood of my enemies. Then my sleeves would be red.
Right. Yeah.
See, you know. Anyway, we only got a few responses actually, which is kind of, I mean, I guess it's kind of an esoteric question, but
Sure. Could also
so
be your personal question.
I guess. Oh, okay. Good point.
Harry.
Someone's like, well, you would have no parents. My parents abandoned me. Ryan P on Facebook says probably something similar to this guy. And he put a gif of Psyduck from Pokemon. Justin H says, haha, big powerful dragon that believes he knows what's right for everyone, planning to conquer the realm so that he can get rid of illness, homelessness, war, and strife. Under his rule, everything will be better for everyone. There you go. It's a good one. It's an aspirational one. Alstar the Minotaur says, backlit by a soft fluorescent halo, you encounter a computer troll, an energy drink resting on his distended belly. Enraged at the mere sight of sunlight, he can let loose a vitriolic tirade, dealing 3d6 psychic damage to whoever opened the darn blinds again. When engaged in melee, he can, as a bonus action, shake out his clothing, freeing all the Cheeto dust and Dorito crumbs into a cloud around him, imposing disadvantage on all melee attacks against him within 10 feet. While quick to anger, the computer troll is typically sedentary and sedated by YouTube and Steam when left unmolested. However, a power outage will often cause him to leave his lair in search of prey. Enter his computer room at your own risk. So, it's pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
On Twitter, we just got one. Seawood Scribe says, some sort of fae, maybe a sprite, can innately cast vicious mockery reflavored as bad puns, and innately cast legend lore once per day, reflecting the broad and random birth of miscellaneous facts I've learned from so many podcasts and audiobooks.
Pretty good.
And we got a few on Discord, although the conversation eventually twisted itself around and instead became, if someone could make stat blocks for us, what would they make? Like if our listeners could make stat blocks for you and me, Jeff. They started coming up with ideas for that. I think it's mostly for you, but
really?
I think so.
Oh no.
I guess mine with bathing my arms in the blood of my enemies is self-explanatory enough. So Dustin says, I would be a nocturnal hermetic wight. I would sleep for months at a time, but when woken, spring to action, completing months of crafting or working in a day. Stiltskin Kupo 84 actually gave a pretty long one. I won't include a lot of it because part of it was just the abilities his character would have that would be similar to his job that he does. But Stiltskin Kupo 84 says, I feel like it would be some kind of a hybrid bull centaur. Just take the standard minotaur and add a second set of legs in the back. It would enjoy all the same bonuses as a standard minotaur, except that it would be a large creature instead of medium. Added abilities would be some kind of powerful charge that increases the distance enemies are flung on a hit, and also a four-legged resistance to being pushed, pulled, or falling prone. Mechanically, it would make contested strength checks with advantage in both cases. Pretty good. Autumn Wind says, probably a good-aligned vampire who blends well into society. He still drinks blood from his victims, but leaves them with a coconut water IV to replenish them afterward. So I don't know if you knew this, Jeff. Coconut water can be used intravenously in place of blood. In small quantities, I think.
What?
It's like the
is that a real thing?
It's a real thing, yeah. The salinity or something is similar enough to blood that your body doesn't die when it happens. So it's a thing. I'll try to find some notes for the show notes to back that up.
That's ridiculous.
It's weird, but I swear I've heard it before. Hey everyone, Gabe here. I just wanted to chime in and say that I did a little bit of research while editing this, and I should specify that while it is technically true, it is not a good idea. You cannot survive with coconut water instead of blood. So please take this with a grain of salt. Do some research. Snopes says it is false. However, if you read some of the actual data in there, they say that it's possible it can work for very short periods of time as a Band-Aid while you get an actual treatment in place. So again, don't go inject yourself with coconut water, please, especially on our recommendation. I think that it is relevant enough for the discussion, but whatever the case, be safe out there. Anyway,
Okay.
Autumn Wind continues. He may be involved in some good works in the community. He's trying to be vegetarian for ethical reasons, but blood is just so tasty. He can't do it. So this is the compromise he came up with. And then they added, I'm a nurse on the night shift. I do eat meat, but rarely red meat, as my wife had sadly developed a severe allergy. But we do eat pretty clean with mostly organic, non-GMO.
I wonder if that's from that there's that tick that's like down in Texas or something that like if you get bit by this tick, you basically develop this disease that makes you allergic to red meat.
Oh, maybe.
I just remember like reading about that. I was like, oh, that sucks, and that also sucks that that's down in Texas where a lot of people eat are really into eating meat.
Yeah. I don't know. So next up we have Jason E, who says, and this will make sense to you, Jeff, a monster based on me would be a magical beast that is a hairy ape man with a sonic shout attack. Yeah, I can vouch that that tracks. And then the beverage tea says, mine would probably be one of those weenie commoner monsters at the back of the monster manual. Well, there you go. Okay. You said it, not us. All right. So that was our last social media question. Thank you everybody who wrote in. Our next social media question is, if you had to make your favorite superhero as a PC in a game like D&D, how would you make them? And I did check. I could have sworn we had done this question before, but as far as I can tell, we have not. So with the trailer for The Batman that just came out, it got me thinking about superheroes and D&D and
is there another Batman movie coming out?
Yes, with Robert Pattinson.
Why?
I don't know. But then also Ben Affleck is going to be playing Batman in the Flash movie.
Okay.
So, yeah, I don't know.
Why?
I don't know.
No, stop it.
Because the industry must make money.
Let's all laugh at an industry that doesn't learn anything. Tee-hee-hee.
So, who's your superhero? Who's your favorite superhero, and how would you make them in D&D?
Well, that's the thing. I'm not even sure I know who my favorite superhero is.
Yeah.
I mean, well, okay. So let's just do. I mean, I do like Iron Man.
Okay.
I mean, Iron Man's a cool superhero, and I have made a character that I tried to like loosely base off of him.
Okay.
I was playing a Warforged Artificer, but I was flavoring it as he wasn't actually like Warforged. It was a human that got like was in like some accident with involving some artifact he found.
Sure.
And the artifact like fused itself with his body and basically giving him like mechanical parts or something in a way.
Mm-hmm.
So like, and like he, was using his, like he was doing artificer stuff to like a lot of the spells and stuff I was picking were things that were kind of gonna like have to do with like his body, like protecting himself and things like that. I was theming it after Iron Man.
Sure.
Or something else about it. I can't remember. Oh, 'cause I also thought it was neat because one of the artificer archetypes, I think battle mage,
or
is it battle mage
battle
or
master?
battle master or battlesmith or something like that.
Battlesmith.
Yeah. There's a point where like you are using your intelligence as your like attack modifier and attack and damage modifier with using the magical weapon that you've made.
Okay.
So I thought that was cool that because like, well, it is kind of like Tony Stark is using his intelligence as his attack modifier because he's built this suit. So like the suit is as strong as he is smart,
Okay. I can see that.
That's kind of what sparked that inspiration was like, oh, this is really cool. You can use your intelligence modifier to be like to kind of do like melee fighting and stuff like that.
Sure. I also don't know who my favorite superhero is, so let's say Thor, and I would just make him a god. The end.
just pull up the deities and demigods book from 3.5 and just say like, yeah, he's like 40 levels of this, 40 levels of that. He's got Mjolnir, which is like a plus 40.
Yeah, something like that.
Automatically crits.
Yep. I'll have a better answer when we discuss this next time.
Sure.
All right, so that'll do it for our questions today. Before we close out, let's sit back. Let's take a deep breath. Let's remember those who have come before us, who have given their lives so that we may have a better world to live in as we toss another log onto the funeral pyre. Today's funeral pyre story was submitted by CodyBoy77 on Reddit. And they say, my first death in D&D. My half-elf ranger and another party member go hunting in the woods. We get attacked by a druid who summons 3 rhinoceroses. All 3 of them charge straight for my ranger and trample her to death, while the other guy who was with me just kind of watched. And that's it.
Oh, good.
That's the story.
Just sort of stared at it. I mean, it wasn't his turn, so what can he do?
Okay, you make a good point.
It happened. It happened on somebody else's turn. That's nothing I could have done.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's raise a glass in memory of CodyBoy77's ranger, who, sorry, it's not my turn. Sorry. Clink.
Clink.
All right, that'll do it for today. To submit questions for us to discuss, items for the Dragon's Horde, or stories for the funeral pyre, please email us at interpartyconflict@gmail.com. For show notes, links to media mentioned on the show, and running lists of questions and magic items, go to interpartyconflict.com. Join the discussion on social media. Find us on Facebook, facebook.com/interpartyconflict, on Reddit at r/interpartyconflict, on our Interparty Discord, or on our Twitter at InPartyConflict for our weekly social media questions. Your answers might end up on the show. Find us on iTunes, Google Play Music, Stitcher, YouTube, anywhere you download podcasts. Please rate, review, subscribe, or just tell a friend. If you'd like to support the show monetarily, check out the rewards at patreon.com/interpartyconflict. We have a few different tiers, so anything you can spare, even $1 a month, would go towards making the show better, and you'll get bonus content for it. Jeff, tell us about FriendQuest.
FriendQuest is a YouTube channel where you can watch us play video games, and actually got a text from Griff, and he was wondering if we were going to be doing the Extra Life stream again this year, and I think we might try to do that on the FriendQuest Twitch channel. So
cool.
I'll keep you guys updated with that as we go and get closer to it.
Awesome. Speaking of video games, check out my side project, the Arcade Memories Podcast. If you'd like to submit your own childhood memories of going to the arcade, record them or write them to me at arcadememoriespodcast@gmail.com. Also, head over to bit.ly/interpartyconflict to take a short survey about our show, what you like, what you don't like, etc. And just for taking it, you'll get 2 free printable board games, courtesy of Mary and Tom over at hollandspiel.com. And our music is made by Boxcat Games from Nameless the Hackers RPG. So, Jeff, until next time.
Hey, Gabe, when we start the next episode, can we not invite this episode?
What's wrong with this episode?